Hi, Illustrator users. Today, we're going to be looking at effects in Illustrator. So I'm Kelly with Designer to Fullstack, and today we're focusing on graphic design in Illustrator. So we're going to be using three windows primarily today. You're going to want your layers, your appearance, and your graphic styles. And you can find that by going to Window, and you have Appearance, you have Graphic Styles, and you have Layers turned on. All right, so when you have text typed, you can use your appearance layer, and using the FX, which is similar to in Photoshop, you can add a new effect. So a common effect you might use is a drop shadow, and you have it settings, and you can see it being applied when you check the button preview. All right, other effects, and you can do it from your flyout panel, is a fill. So you can see right now, if your default text is typed, it is not showing a fill here, even though it does have a fill of black. So that's important to notice that when we're copying or duplicating effects, it does need to be listed here. And so the ones that are tricky are going to be your stroke and your fill that may not be here. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that. All right, so you can double click and we'll go ahead and make that a bright color. All right, so I have a fill and no stroke now. All right, so ways that you can copy or duplicate your style. Let's say we're talking about text here. So one trick is whatever styles you have listed, it gets aggregated in this thumbnail. So I can grab this thumbnail and I can drop it on other text. And now this text has that same styles. So similarly, if I click on this blue with the shadow, I can drag it to here and it will take on the style. So that's one easy way. If you have an item that has a style that you want, you can then drag it to something else. All right, another thing that you could do is if you have selected an item or an object in your style, you can take the appearance and drag it into your graphic styles. So this makes a graphic style that I can select anything and now apply it from that graphic style. Right? So that's really reusable. All right. So, and you can also apply across, right? It could be a shape or text. All right. So that's really pretty nice. So another thing to think about is if I double click, it will open up my settings. So let's say that I change this to 50%. Okay. And that's my drop shadow. If I now click another object and I go to effects and I pick stylized drop shadow, the default is the last settings that I used. So that's also a nice way to be able to have consistency, that if you don't change a certain style effect that you're using, it will stay the same next time you apply it. Also, whatever you use last, you can use this key command, Command-Shift-E. So I know that I just created a drop shadow. So if I select this rectangle and I say Command-Shift-E on my Mac, I now get that same drop shadow. So that's another technique for copying and pasting or duplicating the style that you have. All right, so another way, and this is close to how effects can be duplicated in Photoshop. Okay, so in your layers panel, we know that we can have a layer selected by clicking this kind of empty column where you can select your artwork and it will have a square. Now, next to that column is this circle, and it says click to target and drag to move the appearance. All right, so if you have a single item in a layer, it might be easier to kind of figure out. But regardless, every layer, when you open it, has this circle. So if I see that I have this test word and this is the orange with the drop shadow selected here, I can click this circle and drag it, not to the artboard, right? So this is not like our other one, but I can drag it in the layers panel. So if I drag this, it has now taken the style from test, which was orange, to here. So it kept its color, but it moved the style, right? So I'm dragging and dropping the style from one to the other, not from the artboard, but from the layers panel, right? So now I'm taking over that one. So I'm going to undo. So if you want to duplicate the style, and this is very similar to in Photoshop, you're going to hold down Option and drag. So now I've kept it on Designer. Here I'm holding it and dragging, and now all three have the same style, right? Okay, so that's Option and drag to duplicate, or to just move, you can grab your circle and just drag it to the other one. All right, so lots of different ways to reuse and copy styles in Illustrator. And just to point out that in your styles, the things that can move in this way are things like warping. One additional technique that may work for you in some settings. If you have text or a shape, you can always use your eyedropper tool to grab some of your settings. So these styles, typically it's going to be your color and stroke that's going to work successfully. So I have the circle selected, I have my eyedropper tool, and it turns it blue. If I switch to my text, what I want to show you is from this bulging rectangle, I can grab its color. I do not get the bulge. If I select this orange text, you can see it doesn't actually grab the drop shadow or the color or any of that. It's taking it from a different setting, which the appearance has none. But from other areas, so from this text, the shadow, it will pull the color. So as you can see, it's going to be hit or miss if your eyedropper is that helpful for you, but it is definitely a tool that you can use for fill and stroke really easily. And then, of course, you can still then grab the appearance of any item that you've used the eyedropper tool from and drag it into a graphic style to make it repeatable, or drag it to another object or layer, so you can use all the same techniques in conjunction with that eyedropper tool. So just wanted to point out that that's still a tool that might be useful for you as well. All right, so I hope that these different techniques for duplicating or reusing effects are really helpful. All of them have a place in your workflow, so it's just deciding based on what you're working on, which one works the best for you. All right, happy designing.